So the year is 2021, and in a few days we're going into 2022. And I've already seen people tweet how it's going to be a new year, a new me, and they're going to spend another 365 days being the same lazy piece of shit that they've always been, hoping to never improve and thinking that life is just supposed to be handed to them and everything's just supposed to be a gift. No hard work, no doing anything, just somebody sitting around not improving their own life. And for some weird reason, people on the West Coast are going to celebrate that people in New York are 2 hours ahead of them in 2022 while they still have to deal with 2021. But if there's one thing I enjoy about the end of the year is these YouTube videos that come out saying, oh my God, here are the things we have to leave in 2021. I don't want to see these things in 2022. If you're smart, you won't do these things in 2022 like you did in 2021. What's so interesting about those types of videos is that I get to peer into the mind of the creator who made them. I want to know what you deem as bad, what you saw in 2021 is bad, and what you don't want to see in 2022. And these videos are actually quite interesting. You get to understand that even though you might disagree with some of them, a lot of them have the same agreements as you. Some of them you might not even know about. Some of them you might not even seen as a problem that if you do further research, you would think, hey, that actually is a problem. And I don't want to see that in 2022. And I was so motivated by these videos, I decided to make my own. I made a list, I checked it twice, and I was ready to record a video detailing all the things I didn't want to see in 2022. But then I saw something on my phone and it intrigued me enough to scrap the entire list and just focus on one thing. Because it's been a problem as much as people don't want to address it, and it needs to start being addressed more in 2022, and that's black on black crime. Now, I can already see the paragraphs being typed by all the people who claim I hate being black that, excuse me, coon, black on black crime is a conservative talking point, and how dare you try to bring that up? You need to focus more on the white people who do harm to black individuals. I'm not at all sure when, how, or why we got to a point of saying, hey, this person who lost their life, this black person who lost their life at the hands of another black person, yeah, even though that's sad, we can't really bring that up because black on black crime doesn't exist and it's a conservative talking point. Let's focus more on the white person who does harm to black people. Let's record white individuals losing their minds. Let's record only white people being the ones who are the aggressors to black people, because black people, all they do is love each other. All they do is support each other. There are no black people who actively harm other black people. And my issue with that is there are so many examples of that being not true, and these idiots who say things like that have no grasp of reality. They're so focused on this concept of only whites doing bad that when a black person does bad, it's a foreign concept to them that they can't quite get a grip on. And the issue with that is you've seen many national news stories of a white individual doing harm to black people, or supposed black people if you go based off getting your information on Twitter, and you're deeming that as the big story, as the big selling point, as the thing we have to talk about for days on end. We have to spend days, weeks, months, maybe even years talking about this because this is the main issue in the black community. And if this is solved, then nothing else needs to be talked about. Nothing else needs to be addressed, because this is the only thing that plagues the black community on a consistent basis. Nothing else. But the issue with that is when you say things like that and you broadcast that out to your millions of followers and all the people who watch you on TV and YouTube, you're inviting the narrative that, hey, this thing does not really happen as much, so I don't really need to care about it. But the problem with that is the same problem I've had for months, is that if you're going to say Black Lives Matter, it can't be Black Lives Matter when it's convenient. It has to be all black lives mattering. I get that people have a hate boner to all lives matter, but there's nothing wrong with saying all lives matter, just like there's nothing wrong with saying black lives matter. But the issue is in-house. The issue is when a black person takes a black life, you don't get the same fanfare. You don't get the same media attention. You don't get the same protest for justice. You don't get the same hope that someone is brought to trial and put in jail. You don't get the same outpour of of support, you just get a crumb of it. You don't get the same national news coverage because it's not the same or not as important as a white cop kneeling on a black man's neck. It's not as important as a white cop pulling up on two black individuals fighting, one of them a split second away from stabbing another and shooting her. Oh, because that's the more obvious thing we have to focus on. And I'm not saying you can't look at those instances and say there is a problem. You can do that if there's grounds to say, hey, this is an unjustified situation. But when these constant issues keep piling up and no one is addressing them at the same length as they do about white people, you're getting a problem growing greater and greater. In the past, I've brought up Sasha Johnson, and I've brought her up as somebody who is a BLM activist, a black woman, a mother, someone who, based on media standards, people should be focusing on because she's one of the most disrespected in a group of disrespected individuals, and there was seemingly no fanfare, no media attention, no mass outcry of support, no hope that all the perpetrators get caught and put in jail. And it could be 1,000 reasons as to why, but it would be interesting to discuss that if these individuals were white, we'd see more of a fanfare. We'd see Al Sharpton come out of the grave and start talking about the injustices of society. We'd see all these people march in support of Sasha Johnson. I'm of the belief that she deserves justice. We may disagree on points. We may not even agree on anything, but I don't want to see her in the situation she's in. And it's sad that even still, to this day, Tuesday at 10:14 in the morning on December 28th, I do not know if this woman is dead or alive. Why? Because she's not getting the same media attention. I guarantee you, if this was as much of a focus, if it was white people who shot her, we'd see 24/7 updates on her condition. But the issue is we're not getting that. And it was actually funny, a couple of months ago, there was an article that came out, and I'm paraphrasing because I don't have it in front of me. It was something along the lines of, oh, there's no talking about Sasha Johnson. Did everybody seemingly forget? Yeah, because it didn't go with the narrative of white person doing in a black person, so we can't have all this media coverage about it. There was a little girl by the name of Sequoia Turner who was in a car and got shot at a BLM protest, and there was no outcry, there was no fanfare. There were people there who could have seen that, and nobody spoke up because snitches get stitches in this lifetime. And what's weird is that you had a little girl get done in at a BLM protest, a Black Lives Matter protest, and nobody said anything. Nobody took the time to say, hey, it was that guy, or I saw somebody near the car, or I saw somebody do this, or I saw them running from the car after bullets started flying. They could be the suspect. You got none of that. And for some reason, this girl just passed away and nobody seemed to talk about it. Nobody seemed to care, didn't get the same media attention, didn't get the same fanfare.
Killed by a Black Lives Matter protester, or if it wasn't a protester, she was killed by someone in the midst of a Black Lives Matter protest, and no one who was a part of Black Lives Matter said anything. Black Lives Matter, right? Black Lives Matter, except that little black girl who was in the 3rd grade, who loved doing TikTok, who her mom is damaged. Her, like, the little girl literally died in her mother's arms. She literally said before she died, "Mommy, I'm not going to make it. Mommy, I can't do it." And we talking about Black Lives Matter.
Now, I could end the video right here. I could tell you subscribe. I could tell you be better, but I'm not going to do that because I have one more name to bring up. And it's a name that I didn't know about until last night. And it further strengthens my opinion that people deem certain things as national coverage, while others, they barely get a mention to anybody. And they'll just be another name on the list of individuals you'll bring up later in life as conservative talking points whenever somebody tells you that, hey, this is a problem.
Well, the Baltimore Police Department is mourning the loss of one of their own. Officer Kiana Hawley died last night, 1 week after being shot while sitting in her patrol car. WMAR 2 News' Mark Roper is live outside shock trauma this morning in downtown Baltimore. Mark, now there has just been a tremendous amount of support for Officer Hawley since she was hospitalized last week.
Good morning, Aaron. Yes, there definitely has been an outpouring of support for Officer Hawley. The shooting and now death Officer Hawley has touched many people across the city, across the state, and even the country. Officer Hawley died here at Shock Trauma last night shortly after she was taken off of life support. Now, the Baltimore City Police Department made the announcement around 5:30 last night. The department tweeted out this tribute with a photo of Officer Kiana Hawley listing her end of watch as December 23rd, 2021. Officer Hawley's family made the tough decision to take her off life support because her condition was getting worse. Officer Hawley was 39 years old and a mother of 4. She had volunteered to work overtime in Curtis Bay last Thursday morning when someone walked up behind her patrol car and fired into it. She was shot twice in the head during that ambush. A day later, her sister made a passionate plea for the shooters to come forward. And one woman expressed the feelings of so many and tells us how much she was hurt by the news of Officer Hawley's passing.
Everybody should be hurt. Everybody worldwide should be hurt. A young female's on the force for only 2 years, trying to make a difference and gets ambushed like that. Come on, that's not fair. It's not fair to the city. It's not fair to all the police departments. I say everybody in blue. It's not fair to them. They only doing their job.
Now, the 2 men accused of shooting Officer Kiana Hawley, Elliot Knox and Trayvon Shaw, remain in jail this morning without bail. Both had been charged with attempted murder, but since her passing, we could see their charges upgraded to murder. The 2 were also accused of killing a man in Southwest Baltimore right after shooting Officer Hawley.
Why wasn't this a part of the media fanfare? Why wasn't this talked about? Why didn't we see protests and parades and marches and riots for this cop who lost her life unjustly? Why did I have to find out about this a week after the fact? I could guess 1,000 reasons why, but then I bring it all back to people like Joanne Reed and Don Lemon. Joy sits there and gets mad at people who only care about white internet celebrities going missing.
Saying that no family should ever have to endure that kind of pain. And the Petito family certainly deserve answers and justice. But the way this story has captivated the nation has many wondering, why not the same media attention when people of color go missing? Well, the answer actually has a name: missing white woman syndrome, the term coined by the late and great Gwen Ifill to describe the media and public fascination with missing white women like Lacey Peterson or Natalie Holloway, while ignoring cases involving missing people of color.
But she'll spend her time talking about Elon Musk and not all these missing POCs. And then you got Don Lemon blatantly saying, hey, if you want to start the all Black Lives Matter movement, go start it, because the Black Lives Matter movement is all about police brutality.
Black Lives Matter movement was started because it was talking about police brutality. If you want an all Black Lives Matter movement that talks about gun violence in communities, including, black communities, then start that movement with that name.
And you have these 2 individuals who are on major news networks telling you something that you really aren't supposed to hear. When you hear Black Lives Matter, I understand people are going to think that organization full of people who just take money and buy mansions. But when I hear it, I think, okay, Black lives taken unjustly, we should care. We should seek justice. It's not that hard to figure out. That's why I've never had a problem with the words. I've always had a problem with the organization, because I haven't seen the organization do jack shit for black people. But when I hear these media moguls say things like that, and then more situations happen of black lives being taken unjustly, but you're not seeing the same national news coverage, I'm noticing a game here. And I think I said it at the beginning of the video, but if I didn't, I'm gonna say it now. Black lives don't matter, only black convenient ones do. Because it's funny that somebody like this officer who lost her life, they had to pull the plug on her because 2 black dudes decided, hey, it's about time we shot somebody, and this is the person we saw in an ambush style attack. That's somebody who doesn't get the same media attention. George Floyd gets it, Ma'Khia Bryant gets it, Breonna Taylor gets it, and that's not to say we can't have a conversation about cops abusing power, doing things they shouldn't do, or being out of line. We can, we should, but we should also focus in-house, because if you're not gonna do it and you're only gonna do the dance when the white man is around to complain about, then you are a hypocrite and you don't care about all black lives being taken unjustly. In case you forgot, Black lives still matter. Breonna Taylor, Elijah McClain, Ahmaud Arbery, George Floyd, Botham Jean, Ma'Khia Bryant. I speak their names and continue to work to dismantle systems of oppression. Decenter whiteness, lift up the voices of Black women and men. You know what's funny? This is the Mount Rushmore of names for people. These are the names that these white allies are gonna bring up for years because that's the only Black people they know. In the past, the only Black person anybody who was white knew was Barack Obama. But now we got George Floyd. Now we got Breonna Taylor. Now we got Ma'Khia Bryant. We got these new names to talk about because we'll use them, and anyone who says anything against that, they're obviously bad people who are racist and don't care about anybody. They're focused on having their white systems catered to them for the rest of the days, but they won't bring up names like Kiana, Hawley, Sequoia Turner, or Sasha Johnson. Why? Because the media dictated those individuals, they don't fit the narrative. We have to spend our time talking about how white people hurt Black people, and anything else that's other, we can't really talk about that as much. So for the year 2022, what you need to leave in 2021 is this notion that Black people do no wrong. You need to leave this notion that Black people don't commit crimes. Black people don't harm other Black people. Stop with this game of Black lives only matter when it's convenient and when it's centered around police brutality. Stop listening to these people who blatantly get you to say something dumb when a Black life is taken unjustly. And if you could do that, we could live a better life. We could actually deal with problems of Black lives being taken unjustly instead of only jumping when the white man is conveniently around. Subscribe to the channel. I'll see y'all next time. Have a blessed new year. Do something with your life. And please, for the love of anything that is holy, be better than what you were in the past.